space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim, and with me, of course, is Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And joining us again, Dr. Squee.
Hi, guys.
And we've got some good Star Trek to talk about. We've got the season finale of Discovery coming home, and also episode 3 of Picard, Assimilation. And this is the last, with it being the finale of Discovery, this is the last week for a while that we get this double bill, which I've kind of enjoyed this. It's been cool getting 2 Star Treks a week.
and also,
we have to wait all the way till May till we get to live Star Treks again.
And we just thought of the new feature of which one did we like best just before we won't get to do it for a little while.
That's it. We've invented a brand new feature that took us, weeks of storyboarding and drawing that up.
And not at all think of it on the hoof.
And we've just done it, and they've thrown it back at us. But
also, I want to come up with a new feature for when I'm guest appearing, just because it seems to happen every week. What food is Dr. Squeak going to be surreptitiously eating? It's going to be a vegan sausage roll tonight.
Vegan sausage roll. Any good?
Yeah, really nice one. Asda, highly recommend for any vegan sausage.
That's the vegan sausage roll. There you go. So there's our recommendation of the week. That's the new feature. There you go. Culinary recommendation of the week is vegan sausage rolls from Asda. Who does the best vegan sausage rolls?
That's actually a good question. I mean, these are, considering they're like $2.50 for 4. It's a really good price, and they're really decent. They're probably on a par with anything else, but Aldi's actually really good, and I think they might be £2.
Oh, there we go. So
Aldi really good for vegan range, actually. If there's any vegans watching,
if you're feeling intrepid, check out Aldi. See what's going on there.
Yeah.
So should we dive into it then? So we got 2 quite big episodes. We'll do what we did last week. So we'll do Discovery, then we'll do Picard.
Yeah.
And so the season finale. Now it's no secret that we've had mixed views on this season. I think it's fair to say it's not been the strongest season of Discovery.
I'll honestly say, if it hadn't been Star Trek, I'd have probably turned off.
Me too. Yeah, there's been a few episodes like that.
Yeah, I'd have probably stopped watching the whole thing.
And the worst thing is, it's after the strongest season they've had last season.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have probably, I don't know if it hadn't been Star Trek. I don't know. But
I found it really hard going when it came back from its mid-season break.
Yeah.
I found the first half as...
I know series that I've stopped watching this year because there's so much content, and I found them boring that they're not going anywhere, and I've stopped watching them. And I honestly think Discovery would have got me there if it hadn't been Star Trek.
Yeah, we are at that age whereby if something's only good and not great, it doesn't demand my time because there's so much great TV out there now.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. But I mean, for me, it was from the beginning of the series, I wasn't that enamored. I was actually thinking, it took them so long to get the guy who would turn out to be the bad guy into it. He would have been much better being put in earlier. It would have been really nice to get to know him and like him first, because he's actually quite a likable guy before he does his turn.
Yeah, he came in and he was sort of, even that first episode, he was shifty, right from the start. It was very much positioned as, don't trust this guy. And you were waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it didn't take long to drop because it was all in that first episode. But
or I even say as well that I quite like this week's episode, but it kept on going through my mind. It's but all that lame build up for this takes away from this. This is actually quite a good hour of TV.
It's made worse. It's a very good episode of Star Trek.
Yeah,
but it isn't the payoff that the series has just been lackluster to lead up to it.
I want to have enjoyed the journey as well as the destination. I enjoy the destination.
I don't want to sort of get to the end and think, that was a really good episode. But it hasn't left me feeling like the series was good. It hasn't redeemed the series.
I agree. I mean, I thought this was a fairly, overall, a pretty strong episode. I think that it dragged in places. But I think a lot of that was, it was very much front loaded. Like, we got a load of action up front and everything was going off. And I thought, right, okay, we finally got into it now. And then after everything sort of kicked off and you got all the confrontations all came to a head and everything, and I paused it and we were only halfway through the episode and I thought, oh, okay. And then I think there was about 10 minutes of epilogue, and it's that Return of the King thing where there's so much at the end that you're like, all right, well, this is going on a bit. And I think, like you said, the reason it doesn't justify that is because the season was so lackluster. Like, with Return of the King, you let it off because we've just had 9 hours of some of the greatest cinema we've ever seen, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Give them 45 minutes to wrap it up. It's fine.
Give them 20 different endings. Like that, I'll allow it. Like, it's not perfect, but I'll allow it after all that.
We've been on a journey there. Whereas this is like, yeah, we've had a 13-episode season, but I don't feel it justifies as much reflection as this episode wants to give it.
Like, we've had reflection all season.
That's probably the problem. Yeah.
I mean, it was just, I don't know. And it didn't get helped by the fact that there was a lot of people. I get why they use this photo, because there's a really nice shot of them in dress uniform at the end. But loads of people posted that on their reviews as their main picture, and it gave away, like, all these people are fine, all these people survived. So any tension which there would have been from that was totally out the window. Unless you watched it first, you know. Yeah.
Well, let's dig into it anyway, because straight away, one of the things you raised last week, Dr. Squee, was where's Admiral Silver Daddy Bear? And we've all been missing Tilly, and straight away we get both of them back right at the beginning. So that's a plus for this episode.
And I say that's why this episode might have saved, might have been the best episode yet.
To me, Silver Daddy Bear, yes, we know we're all a fan of him here. But this really reinforced for me how much this show's missed Tilly, just sort of the lightness of touch that she brings to it. And I didn't realize at the time, but then you see her back in this episode and it just injects a bit of life back into it. And you're like, wow, it's really missed that character.
Yeah. It was so satisfying to see the journey she'd been on. Like, it didn't seem forced or anything, but where she ended up going back to be head of the cadets, and then to have her there commanding them, it just really fit. It was really satisfying that she's gone on that journey from the shy young ensign that we first met. It was so well done.
Yeah. It was really good. And some of the stuff they're doing is like with the Federation headquarters is like warping back to Earth, and it's going to function as a lifeboat and everything. All that, like the effects and everything were brilliant. It all looked really cool.
Oh, although, can I add, I agree with you, but it was just a bit frustrating that the first ship we actually get a real up close of is the swirly space station. It's like, I want to see the ships, like, and they show me that one.
And you do see the ships warp in, but again, you don't get like a money shot of them. You just get it very, very briefly.
Yeah, you get a money shot of the Christmas ornament.
Yeah, and you do get a big shot later on of the Mitchell, which did the name that after Gary Mitchell, in which case, a bit dubious.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I mean, I know it wasn't Gary Mitchell's fault what happened to him, but it's a bit. I'm not sure I'd want to serve on a ship named after the guy who went mad and tried to kill everybody, but
no, it's actually secretly named after the Mitchell brothers. Like, they felt they were.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. There should be two of them: the USS Phil Mitchell and the USS Grant Mitchell. That'd be
I'd love that. One slightly smaller,
and the red alert siren on it's the EastEnders. The doom 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 doom. There you go. That's your next series. That's your next spin-off. Forget
the Mitchell, the other one. Like the second one whoops in next to it.
Phil Mitchell. Yeah, that'd be brilliant. But yeah, you get this big close-up of the Mitchell, which is just a big oblong, and it's like, If you're going to do a hero ship warping in, do the Enterprise, do the 32nd Century Enterprise. That'd have been awesome.
Or even the much talked about Voyager. Let's see a really good shot.
Let's actually see it.
I think you did. I think Voyager
You
was
can't, you do, but you don't get any close-ups. That's the thing.
No,
There's not been close-ups. We've had this already in Picard with the close-ups straight away.
You know, the amount of detail you see on the ships is kind of on a par with the worst DS9 CGI, because DS9 for a while they tinkered a bit too much with CGI, and a few of the shots looked so janky, even at the time, let alone now. And yeah, it was on that kind of level, the amount of detail you see.
But it doesn't stop Eagle Moss from going, do you want to buy a model of all these ships that you've barely seen? Like,
yeah.
which,
and they probably got more detail on them.
Yeah, they probably. Oh, actually, I mean, I'm not going to openly criticize Eagle Moss too much, but they've struggled, shall we say, with the detachable warp drives to incorporate that into a model at a reasonable price point, and the solution they've come up with is not great.
Well,
like,
did it click off?
Yeah, you do get a transparent thing that connects them, but it's that thick to support the weight that it just looks like the part of the ship. Like,
it's too obvious.
Aesthetically, it doesn't look great, but there you go. But Eagle Moss, we still love you, and if you want to sponsor the show and send us free models, we will shill for you. No problem.
It was a friend of mine from work posted some pictures of the ones from Doctor Who, and you've kind of got all the other figures about like yay high, and then you've got Davros yay high, like a quarter of the height, basically. He was just standing next to him going, yeah, I think I might get a refund on this one.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? When you get your scale models, it's like, yep, they've all got to be the same height. It's like I collect like I'd say the new He-Man figures, but they're the old He-Man figures, but modernized with more articulation. And you do feel a bit aggrieved paying the same price for Orko, because he's like, half the size of everyone else.
Well, yeah, but this isn't to scale. Like Davros isn't like a midget, like a metal person.
He's sat down, isn't he?
He's sat down.
Yeah, he is sat down, but like this is significantly shorter, shall we say?
So have they just got the Dalek one, cut it in half, and stuck a head on top of it? And
well, it's smaller than the other Dalek. It's not in scale at all. It's tiny compared to the other ones. I think it was Davros anyway. It was certainly one of them. But like they showed the picture of them next, whichever one it was. I think it was Davros next to all the others, and it was really obviously not.
In that case, I'm totally with him. I think, if it had been an issue that Davros has just sat down, so they've used less.
Oh no, because other people have complained as well. The same thing.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to have a look at that when we get off here and see the scandal about the Davros.
Yeah.
So back to Discovery then. So yes, we got all this going on. Back on Discovery, I like that Michael straight away has worked out that somebody scummed him over, and she's like, "Yep, I'm going to lock them all up, and the president can come with me. You can explain to him what's going on." I really like that, how she's just no nonsense, which is the way she needs to be given the gravity of the situation. But I enjoy,
and much better than later in the episode where she does get a bit teary when she's on the bridge, and I don't know.
But you see, I didn't have a big issue. The scene again just seemed that little bit too long. Like,
well, the thing is, it's so much vaunted, and rightly so, that we've got the first lead female black lead of a Star Trek show. Wonderful, but I don't think it then serves that to have her being over emotional and over teary next to her counterparts. I think that,
especially when she's been brought up Vulcan.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and she's said to people before, it's like, well, look, I need you to be together right now. We can cry later. I'm sure she said that in other episodes, and she just never tells it. Like, there's always the teary moment. There's always which on the bridge you can't show that to your crew.
No,
as a captain, and then show her like later, like do what they used to do with Jack Bauer. Like there was a great scene in 24 where they had him just kind of being hard as nails all the way through. Then he sat down in his car and he just broke down. He just beat the steering wheel, tears flooding down, and it seemed to work really well because he's held that in all that time. If you show me a scene like that with Burnham, great, that would be perfect. I'm not saying she can't show emotion, but don't show on the bridge when you're in the middle of the mission.
Yeah, that was the end of season 3, was it, of 24?
So.
Yeah, I think
it was such a good scene. It always stuck with me, and they even made it an advert for it. Just that
You know what?
To be fair, I'm surprised she didn't go off to talk to Saru or Culber at the point. At that point.
Yeah.
I think that was the point, though, is that they took you on the journey with her of pulling it together and sort of stealing herself and going, right, let's finish it. And I did enjoy that, but I can totally see the criticism of it. And I thought,
how about give her a moment in her ready room doing that, though? Again, where she takes herself away from the command, has that moment. That's again, it's not what they did, it's how they did it on the bridge when she's capturing one of the most important moments.
The turbo lift on the way down to the shuttle bay or something, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not saying she's weak for showing emotion. No, that far from it. But it's just like you don't do it in the middle of the bridge.
And this will get us on to really my other issue with this episode is that she did go through all that emotion and it was all for nothing because you know what? Buck was okay. But again, we'll get there.
Yeah, but at least we're not going to have a season of him moping that he died now.
No, very true.
Because when that transport didn't come through, I thought, oh, fuck.
Yeah, okay. So Buck and his plan to escape revolves around his cat collar, effectively. But fair play to him. You know, you've got to use the tools that you're given. It's very sort of MacGyver, very A-team. And it was something to do with Grudge don't like the holograms. So
his collar makes a hole through them, which is fair enough.
Right, and it also does
So Grudge don't actually got to walk through the holograms. The holograms disappear in front of it.
Right, and then that's what he's doing all episode. Then is reprogramming it so it'll do it to the shields as well.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't quite clear on it. I think this is one of the episodes where there's a lot happening, and it's easy to miss little bits, even when like when I'm sitting there making notes for this podcast. Even then, you can still like miss little bits here and there. But so that's what he's doing with his cat collar then.
Yeah.
I also like that there was no sort of messing about with the general from Earth, that she just fessed up straight away.
Yeah, she went, look, I did it, and I thought I was doing the right thing when I did it.
Yeah, and at least, the episode, we don't really have enough screen time to have been doing a whole thing of, let's work out who did it. It's a case of...
Well, we could have done that in one of the 4 episodes where we did nothing.
Yeah, we could have done that. That's very true. But yeah, I like that she just admits it was her, and obviously it plays into later in the episode when she's saying, I'm still ready to serve. And to be honest, I didn't expect that to play back in, like when she said, I still stand ready to serve and everything. I thought, bollocks to you, just lock her up,
Yeah.
But it does come back later on. So yeah, at least we're not mucking about, like I say.
Can you guys still hear me? Sorry, I'm having a few camera issues.
I can hear you, yeah.
Sorry about this.
It's all right.
No, that's cool.
It happens.
And then I like that the Vulcan president mind melds with the 10C, because it's like, why didn't we think of doing that earlier, really?
Yeah.
I suppose it was the case of they don't understand them enough, so it's...
Yeah, but we've had Spock with the Horta where he mind melds with a rock, and he's mind melded through walls, and he's only half Vulcan.
Yeah, so it makes sense to use the mind meld and set up a little bit of it there.
I think you're right, though. That, again, this speaks to the fact that they've waited so long to introduce so many cool ideas they could have brought in much earlier. Like, you could have another episode at least with the 10C being involved and being there.
I think we could have done. Definitely.
Quite easy, because it really did them. Let's play poker. The episodes where they chased Buck to the anomaly was a good episode.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
then you had an episode to cross the galactic barrier.
Yeah, you could have condensed it all. Them 4 episodes could have easily been condensed to 2, and I don't think we'd have missed it, really. No. But so all of this, I mean, I know we've jumped around a bit, but chronologically, everything that I've covered there, all goes on before we even get to the main credits in this episode, which
Yeah, there was a long ass thing before the credits. That seemed like when the credits came in, I was like, oh really? Haven't we had those yet?
yeah, I've noticed this a bit with Discovery this season. They seem to be doing it's at least about 10 minutes into the episode before we're hitting the credits, and it's a choice, you know. It's I think what they're doing is the credits are coming at the end of Act 1 rather than it being a teaser. We're doing Act 1 and then we're going into credits, which is fair enough, but like you say, it does disconcert you a little bit because we're used to having that opening bit, having his credits, and then get on with it.
I mean, I don't mind every now and again. Like there are certain episodes of Next Generation. If you watch them, the big teaser will be like, "Oh, Riker's thinking about shaving his beard." You know, it'll be just a nothing teaser because they're forced to do one.
Yeah,
I'm not saying every now and again it isn't fine, but they seem to do it a lot, and it seems to be at the cost of creating good drama at the beginning. You want something to draw you in. I know this is an ongoing story, which does make it different, but give us a little tease. Give us something to get us excited about the episode. And I don't think they're doing that enough at the beginning.
I think it's just a different way of doing it. Like I say, I think they're putting the credits after the first act. And a few shows have done that. Like Alias notably used to do that. And it was always really weird. Sometimes it'd be 15 minutes into the episode before you'd hit the credits. And you were like, oh, really? What? And yeah, it's so... But it does take a bit of adjustment for us to go, oh, right, so this isn't a teaser. This is just the start of the episode.
Yeah.
Then we get the credits. But the reason I'm bringing the credits up is because Tig Notaro was listed in the main credits this week. And I'm hoping that this means that she's going to be a season regular next season, because we definitely need more Reno.
Oh, God, yeah.
We need more Reno. We need more hot and sour soup.
Yeah, I'll just the bullshit that she says, but then it always like leads back to something really profound. That's the thing I love about it. It's like, oh yeah, I need some hot and sour soup. Yeah, just because I'm hungry. But like then she'll ask for a licorice lace, and it's because she's planning something, and you know, so they use that to sneak things under the radar. And then she's winding book up, and then the next minute she says something really insightful, which totally turns him around. Whereas everyone else has tried to just lay it on an inch thick with emotions, whereas she's patronized him and then undercut it with emotion, and that's what gets through to him. Maybe the writers could take note of that. Just saying.
Yeah, no, I think the more
I think she's arguably one of the best characters in Discovery.
I think she is.
Yeah,
criminally underused.
Well, as I've said, I've read in the past interviews with her, and it's a scheduling thing, and it's been that she's been reluctant to commit to being a season regular.
And
she was always reluctant with COVID, I know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I'm hoping maybe next season, we know it's a reduced 10 episode. That seems to be where they're going with Star Trek now, is everything's 10 episodes, but lots of different stuff.
I'm fine with that.
I'm good with that. So maybe they've managed to talk around, like it's only 10 episodes, we'll put you in the main credits, which means a bit more money. Might just be wishful thinking on my part, and I may be reading too much into it, but she's on the credits this week, so maybe that's gonna stay.
No, it's amazing. Yeah, I can only hope.
We find out a bit more about the 10C, though. We get this thing like that they're a collective, but not like the Borg. I don't think we're going to get a right lot more of the 10C, are we? I think this is...
No. I think it was an engine for this story as opposed to an ongoing thing.
But it's nice that they're dropping these things in, and it's nice that they are so completely alien. You know, like we don't always get this level of sort of fanciful aliens in Star Trek, and it is good, but there is an issue that you can't do this every week because it just don't make for good drama having a big thing projecting lights. And
the only thing, again, what I would like to see, because they got some really wonderful elements. I love the fact of discovering their language. We said last week the whole idea that you had to the language is so alien, you had to come up with very basic images to express a lot of information. That was just so good. But then you get to this episode, and sorry, I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but it's apropos of this. Is that then you get like, oh yeah, they beamed us over, and now they've got a little device which is just a speak and spell. You just type it in, it'll be fine. And it's just, you felt like it was such a jump. Whereas like, if they'd introduced them earlier,
Yeah, like there is a bit of a throwaway line where they go, "Oh, we've updated the program," and it's like, yeah, but last week you were able to do us plus DMA equals
Terror.
Bad.
Yeah. This week you can do, well, the bloke on the
Really
ship was
complex
my
stuff.
boyfriend, and you know, we'd had a bit of a tiff, but it was okay. And he lost his planet, and he was a bit upset, and
yeah, we can explain really complicated emotional.
Yeah,
it would have even been more believable if the
too much
10C
of a
had come
push.
up with the device, because they're
Yeah.
more advanced, you know.
Oh,
But even then, it would have been so much nicer if you'd done that over the course of the episodes, because it was such a lovely idea. I could have done much longer on this. It felt very Carl Sagan somehow to come up with this language and basic imagery.
If we could have had a scene with Stamets and Adira just looking absolutely knackered, like we've been up 76 hours straight working on this, adapting this program, and we think we've cracked it, rather than just a line going, "Yep, we've updated it."
I mean, even then it would be better, but still very forced. You know, again, if it had been layered over episodes, it would have been. It's one of the strongest ideas they had. Why wait till now?
Yeah. And again, I talked about last week how I think it was very much inspired by Arrival. Like, Arrival took a whole
Carl Sagan.
Film, a whole film to do that. So do it. You know, you can do that. It works.
Yeah, because I mean, I forget Carl Sagan did that one, because he would talk about the language of maths and how this basic imagery is how you communicate with another alien species. So I think they've got this whole kind of idea from him. But like, you know, in a perfectly fine way, it's fine to borrow from scientific ideas. That's what we love about Star Trek. But but
they just jumped from how it was basic imagery to universal translator. It's working perfect.
It wasn't a case of like simplifying things, really. They were just giving it really long, complex stuff, and it was almost instantaneously translating it.
It seems like lazy writing to just go, oh, and we've solved that now.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Especially when you spend a whole episode breaking down how difficult it is and how complex it is.
Yes.
And then
and then you go, oh, we've solved it now.
Yeah, we've cracked it. It's fine. The other plans then that they've got, they're going to do a suicide run and blow up Buck's ship, and we're also going to have to blow up the spore drive. And when they do that, this to me reminds me a bit of they used to do it in Buffy the Vampire Slayer and in Angel, where when they knew they were leaving a location, they would just blow the shit out of it in the finale. And if you look like the end of season 3 of Buffy, when they graduate high school, they blow the high school up and they blow up the set of the library. And in Angel, they blow up his apartment at the end of season 1, then they blow up his hotel at the end of season whatever it is, where they leave the hotel. And I wonder if there's a bit of this going on. Are we done with the spore drive now? Because we know that Taka had the only prototype of the improved one. He's gone.
No, because Stamets says that it'll blow the spore drive, but we can't repair it without space stock.
Without space stock, maybe. Oh, yeah.
And also, didn't the one which the other guy come up with get put on Buck's ship? So
but Buck's ship gets destroyed, though, doesn't it?
Oh, did that get completely destroyed? Sorry.
Yeah, so I just wondered if, are we doing a thing now that we're gonna go?
No, I think it was meant to give us some dramatic tension that we get the remaking Voyager for season 5.
Yeah, that didn't cross my mind, because it does set it up as we're going to be stuck here.
I think we're also going to get a new set. They maybe want to play around with the set. That's usually a good excuse.
Going to get a different engineering set, maybe bigger engineering, Then we get the classic, who's going to do the suicide run? And of course, Detmer's up for it. But no, instead we've got disposable character that we can use to do it, who needs to do it himself. Which, it's a well-worn trope, but it always works. You've got, the person who's been a bit of a baddie, made a bit of a mistake. You know what? They can be the one who sacrifices themselves. I mean, ultimately she doesn't, but she's willing to and everything. So
Yeah, I kind of did want someone to die. I'm sorry, not in a shitty way, but it's like
No, it's to raise the
kind of
stakes.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt like, because originally I thought it would have been really impactful if Book did die, as long as they didn't spend the next series, as you say, Elliot, dealing with that, because that would have been just crap. But
Like when
yeah.
Detmer stood up to that she'd go, I was like, oh no, not her. She's one of the good characters.
Yeah, and they just start fleshing her out even more, and it's like it would be just like Discovery to kill her off then.
And I thought it was Book's time as well. The thing with Tarka now, again, and as you've said, maybe if we'd have spent a bit more time with him, it seems that he sort of comes back to the good side a bit too quick at the end to say this has been his entire thing, and right at the end he's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, no, I was wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, it was just one emotional breakdown, which just doesn't seem satisfying.
Yeah, I thought, just keep him. You can have him showing remorse, but keep him absolutely determined. No, I've got what I wanted, so I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me a bit of Generations. I love the bit where you see Soren just every now and again just stopping and hearing what Picard's saying, and then turning around going, you almost had me. And he just, it's a wonderful like play on his emotions. And again, you could have done that over loads of episodes. You could have had those moments where he's going, no, you almost had me. And then turning around would have felt more like, oh, well, we've seen him cracking a bit.
Thing, like, I don't think you do need to turn him around at the end.
You don't have to.
We're allowed to have a
redemption.
No, you either had to layer the redemption over episodes or not redeem him. Again, that's fine. Yeah.
And
it was fine to continue to want to kill them all. And I had no problem with that. And he died. Yeah, he should do because he was the baddie.
Yeah, and then you could have even had Book doing this sympathy for the devil, because it's like, look, they destroy my people. I get it. Like, you may vilify him, and obviously what he did was wrong, but I get why he did it. Like, that would have been really great.
Yeah, and Book as well seems to, his arc has been, I get why he went on to Tarka's side. Like, that all made sense, but then he does seem to have come back really quickly in these last 2 episodes that he's like, oh, diplomacy will work, right? Okay, yeah, I'm up for that. And it's like, yeah, but that wasn't your thing.
That's what they've been saying to you for half the season.
Yeah, but he probably had Michael say it, and the way she just winds on, it's like when what's her character's name?
Reno, Jack.
Reno. When Reno says it, like she says it with a bit of sarcasm. Like I'd much rather listen to her.
I think maybe what they were trying to get at with Book is like his motivation is not to kill the 10C; it's to stop anyone else from dying. And up until this point, he didn't think there was a way of doing that, and now he does. But I think it's been a little bit muddied because it really came across as he wants a bit of revenge at one point, not just I want to preserve everyone. So I don't know. But he dies, and we've talked about Michael's reaction and everything to it. And then, as I say, this is the point at which I was like, wow, we've only had half of the episode, half an hour into an hour episode, and up until this point, I think it's put very few feet wrong. It's been a really fast, exciting episode.
Yeah, as I say, the only thing you feel is like it's not that anything it's done wrong; it's what hasn't been done previously to lead into it.
And to say we spent so much time on the setup, all the pieces should have been in place to a greater extent, I think. But I do like the communication scene. I mean, obviously, quibbles aside, with the program suddenly works a lot better than it did before. But if we put that to one side, the actual substance of it, I think, is brilliant, and I think it's some of the Star Trek we've had. This is. Yeah.
The annoying thing is they're sending these really complicated messages to the 10C, and it seems like the 10C is still answering really basically.
Yeah, it does actually. That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, you could have even done like what they did actually in Picard with the Borg Queen. You could have got like the 10C. Oh my god, they're taking over a database, won't it? They've uploaded a more sophisticated language database here.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that would have actually.
Yeah, but it's like better. We've just explained in great depth and with lots of emotion how many people you're killing and how much damage you're doing. And the answer is, we feel great sadness, which is back to how they were communicating originally.
You know what? I think I've solved this because Saru's in charge of the machine, and I reckon Saru's just putting in. They're going. Okay, tell them that we are one, but we're also many, and our ones look for happiness, and blah blah blah. And Saru's going, we are many, and just sending that.
Wasn't that translator on TV? It turns out was just making up, like it was an international interpreter on the news.
Oh,
and
no.
it got into the news that he was just making it all up. He didn't speak it at all.
Excellent.
Good was it Italian or something he was doing?
It was something like that. It was a political thing, and he goes, yeah, he says he likes that. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, there's an episode of Friends, isn't there, where they do a double date, and Phoebe's dating a foreign diplomat and his interpreter's dating Monica, and because the interpreter's more interested in flirting with Monica, he stops bothering to fully translate it. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
You didn't say what I said about Boutros Ghali.
Yeah.
Boutros Ghali.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what's going on. I think Saru's simplifying it, and he's just got sick of telling him, we can't do that. Okay, so anyway. But as I say, I think what they've done is, I think what they were trying to do this season is take the idea of what they were trying to do in the motion picture and do it better. And as a result, instead, we've not landed it perfectly. So we've created the slow motion season rather than the slow motion.
There you go.
Which is a shame, because I think when they do nail what they're trying to do, like in this sequence, I think it's wonderful. There is this immense sense of, Saru, when he realizes that they've agreed to withdraw the DNA, and his voice sort of catches in his throat, and you can feel the emotion coming off it, and then that's juxtaposed with Tilly and Admiral Silver Daddy Bear just swigging the whiskey and everything.
I love that.
All of that's wonderful. It's done so well. And the idea that they've met this species that they had no chance of getting through to communicating with, and they found a way of doing it, is just so Star Trek. It's incredible. And it's just a shame that it took us so long to get there that it loses some of the impact it could have had. But
the moments near the end with Admiral Silver Daddy Bear and Tilly, almost kind of Douglas Adams-esque, like having a drink at the end of the world and going what do you think you did? Yeah, I don't think I did too badly. Look, I did most of what I wanted to. Shame I couldn't do it for longer. It was very perfect. Just two people having a chinwag at the end of the world.
Yeah,
I love that.
I liked how he was prepared and had 2 flasks.
Oh yeah, yeah. He was hoping someone would stay around. Otherwise, he was getting really pissed.
All they had to do is do the Beetlejuicean anthem, which they do on Hitchhiker's Guide when Ford and Arthur think they're going to die. Yes. They sing this ridiculous song. Da, 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 da.
That would have been good if Silver Daddy Bear and Tilly had got taken to Millie Ways, the restaurant.
Yes. But it would kind of fit, that's why I liked it.
Yeah, that would have been your spin-off, Sean. I watched that. But yeah, I do love the whole communication thing. I do think it goes the wrong side of cheesy when we bring Buck back. It works in terms of the story. We saw the signal, we intercepted it. The logistics of it work, but it just feels like, really?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a bit too cheesy for me. It's like it's Wayne's World. Hey, let's do the mega happy ending.
Even the one I did quite like how they dealt with, but again, even that seemed a bit cheesy in this episode at places, was the relationship with Saru and the Vulcan ambassador. I thought,
I like that.
I could have done without the other episode where they were like, oh no, she has to get pissy at you if she's shown you any emotion. That's never been part of Vulcans. And I always hate it when they've got to add emotion to Vulcans. No, let them be logical. Let them be that race, because then you've got to find subtle ways of showing their emotions, like Leonard Nimoy did. He was so wonderful at giving those little winks, which were perfectly show the emotions were in there, but they couldn't admit it. It was never said. Whereas they've got to kind of say it in some way this way, and that was her way of doing that. And I just didn't like that. I thought their relationship was really lovely, but just here was like, oh, and they're good now. They're holding hands. Mega happy ending.
Yeah, it was. And again, it's because this is pretty much, to all intents and purposes, the end of the episode. Like they go, yeah, the 10C are going to give us the wormhole, and we get them going through the wormhole, and you get the Star Trek fanfare, and it's all, it's sort of ending on a real high. Oh, wait, we've got 15 minutes left, and then we get all these not post credits, but postscript effectively scenes. Yeah. And none of them are bad. It's just when you add them all together, it takes up a lot of screen time and dulls the impact of the end of the episode, really.
Well, it was actually a fitting end to the season when you think about it, that it was dragged out and too much.
Yes.
And also, did we need Burnham's speech at the end? I just thought that was like it was it was like a Star Trek speech by rote. It wasn't like
I did like Book's speech to Burnham about the first time he loved her.
Yeah, that was a really nice scene. And
it's cold. You're shivering. No, I'm not. I'm moving about to keep warm. Yes, that's what shivering is.
Yeah, I like that explanation.
But that reminded me straight away of Thor with what's the dwarf?
Oh, yes, Peter Dinklage's character. That's what,
that's what dying is.
I did enjoy it, but at the same time, I also didn't need, like, where you had them saying about, like, oh, like we did when we were on Rigel 7. Like, they've always got to reference a time we haven't seen to prove that they spend this time together when no one else was about. It's become the equivalent of, like, by the way, I was gone for 2 years. Do you remember?
Well, that's because your friend Una McCormack's written a novel that covers that space in time that they...
You see, but that's right. Una's great at fleshing out these little moments which are mentioned, but I think they have too many of those when they mention a mission they're on. They could just say, oh, I remember the first time I said I love you, and then told that story, which is funny. You're right.
Like the bit where he tells her the goodbye thing in his language, and she says it, and then he corrects her, and she says, no, I said it right the first time. And you get that sparky banter between them, and you're like, oh, yeah, I remember why these guys are into each other now. We've not seen this all season. This is great. This has reminded me why these two have got such good chemistry, And then, we get the scene with Michael and the president, and that loops back to the first episode. It's like, you would be ready for Voyager. And she's like, nope, still don't want it. And I thought that was great. Yeah. That reinforces Michael's journey. Book's pretty much got community service, is what he's...
Yeah. Which it kind of like, I like the way they did justify that, because like he's done all this shady stuff, blew up the DMA, but then he goes, but you killed all my people. Like, the way they brought that in, it felt right where he ended. It's like,
I liked what the president said about it.
Yeah,
he needs to face justice, but justice has to be just.
Yeah.
To work.
Yeah, and for that, we need context. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah, and they'd have to look back. They go, okay, well, what did we do with Captain Kirk when he saved the Earth? Right, okay,
we give him we give him a new starship.
So I think community service is probably the right thing for Buck. So that'll be good next season. He's just going around with them litter things, picking up crap out of the way.
He's just got this big ship, which is just a big litter picker, and he's just picking up space debris on the front.
Spaceball 1 when it turns into Mega Maid. Anyway. And then we get I didn't know this caused a lot of kerfuffle in America because I didn't recognize the president of Earth, but this is she's called Stacey Abrams, and she's an American politician, and so this this has really upset all the people that you want to upset. So all the Donald Trump supporters are not happy about this, which I call that a big win. So
I have no problem with upsetting any.
How does that Venn diagram work between Donald Trump supporters and Star Trek fans? How do you?
It really doesn't.
How?
It doesn't, but that's what the fandom menace is.
But yeah, this from what I understand, this politician is very liberal in her views, and I'll caveat that by saying foreign American politician, because the political spectrum is different depending on which country you're from. So I would, without knowing a lot more about her, and I've only done a bit of cursory reading on her, I would hesitate to call her left wing in the context that we use it in Britain, but certainly
she's liberal for an American.
In the American
I believe she is quite liberal, like for America as well. Like, I mean, but for me,
she sounds great.
For me, it's like having Ronald Reagan being a cowboy. Yeah, he's right wing. He played a cowboy. That seems to fit. Like, they're all about the guns and shit. You know, that seems to be a good fit. But having a left wing politician in Star Trek, that's a fit. You know,
she's playing.
I don't want to tell you,
Earth, and it's showing us that Earth is back where it needs to be to rejoin the Federation. And I love the fact that it's just, nope, we're rejoining. We're not even going to bother. Yeah.
Oh, that was nice. Yeah. And was it just me who got slightly nervous that they were going to make the Earth General like her daughter? Just for a second there, I was like, no, don't do it. And they didn't.
And when it did the big reveal of the president, like, it will have had that impact if you know who she is, which I'm sure a lot of people in America will have done. But when it sort of lingered on the door and it was going to, I thought, are they going to get Shatner? Like, it felt like we are building to a cameo here.
That's what I was saying.
Is it going to be the Doctor?
Yeah, it just ran through my brain.
Wouldn't that have been awesome if it was the Doctor?
President of Earth. Yeah. Nice.
But I mean, now that I know who she is and I've read a bit about her, I think it's excellent.
Yeah, because they held on the door for a minute. I was like, and it's her. Okay. You know, I don't know who she is.
My reaction. And then I read about Yeah.
And then when she walked in, I was like, okay, like they put into her entrance and she's doing fine, but it seems like a very understated performance. And like, are they setting her up for next season? Now you've explained it. Like, I didn't read that.
No, that's it. Yeah, because I was reading there's all this controversy and I'm like, really? But yeah, it's upset all the right people. So well done, Discovery, for that. And it finishes, like you say, Michael's speech is a bit much, but it does finish on this hugely optimistic note of we're all going to come back together, we're going to rebuild better, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, it just feels like someone's put in the script, insert Star Trek speech here. Star Trek's type end of season speech.
It does.
As opposed to the other seasons when Burnham's given a speech, it felt quite fitting. It kind of worked. Like this one just felt a bit we'll just come on with something.
And thematically as well, like they did say, like they wanted this season in certain ways to comment on the pandemic, and this is obviously what they hope is going to come out of the pandemic, that we're all going to be more united and move forward, and it's going to lead to a better future.
Well, not if the Tories have their way they're going.
You tell me whether that's actually going to be the case, but that's definitely...
Did you see her who turned up to the P&O protest? The Tory MP. She'd voted against hire and fire, or she'd voted to allow firms to do what they've done.
Yeah.
But the protesters knew, and they started shouting at her that she voted for this, and they started shouting "shame on you," and she joined in with the chant, shouting "shame on you." She didn't have a clue.
And there we go. And that's 21st century politics for you, which nicely leads us into where we're going in Picard. So before we move on to Picard, then, any last thoughts on that episode of Discovery?
Yeah, what's happened with Kurdish?
Who?
Is that his name? Old guy.
Oh, what, the guy with the parrot alarm clock?
No.
Budgie.
No, the head of Section 31.
Oh, David Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Kovic. Yeah, no idea. What in this episode?
Yeah,
all limit, because he was off doing something more important.
It was, yeah, you're right.
We've had all these episodes with nothing happening, and we don't know what's happened with him.
You're right.
You've got a spin-off which is called Croditch and Budgie Guy.
Oh,
that's going to be great. I can't wait.
See, and the good thing about us recording these episodes and putting them out there is we've just come up with so many spin-offs that eventually Paramount are going to come up with the same idea, and then we can sue. So,
well, I think I already pitched an idea with Admiral Silver Daddy Bear and I forget who having a road trip. Like, maybe him and Tilly would work. That would
that's
be
it, exactly.
Yeah.
I did think maybe I was like, is Silver Daddy Bear going to try his luck with Tilly here? You know what I mean?
We've only got 2 hours left. What should we do when we've got drunk?
I've got a couple of things of whiskey. Yeah, but no. You see, he's far classier than we are. So well done, Admiral Silver Daddy Bear.
Yeah.
Picard then, Assimilation this week. And I do have to say up front, I think this is the weakest episode of this season, but I don't think that means it's a weak episode. I just think that it didn't have the impact of the first 2 episodes. I feel like this one...
To me, it was the Voyage Home episode. It really felt like the Voyage Home. Like, not only did you get the slingshot around the sun, but you get to see Earth modern day through the lens of them. And I really dug that. I love the parallels to that, and it seemed purposeful.
I really enjoyed this episode, but I can see exactly where you're coming from. That out of the 3 episodes, if you had to rate them sort of 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that they're each good at what they were meant to be. So the first 2 were meant to be big action pieces. This was meant to be a lower beat, like a more human beat. This is just a character piece, which I really enjoyed. It was very successful as what it was meant to be. It's not meant to be a big action one.
No, and this one as well is more so than the other 2. It feels like
it's also a shorter episode.
But it's like part of an arc, whereas the first one, to an extent, was almost a self-contained thing. It was like, here's the new status quo, here's some action, here's what's going on. The second episode was almost a self-contained, like, kind of a mirror universe episode.
Yeah.
And then this one is a transitional episode that's getting us into the meat of
it's almost like
doing.
It was almost like the film trilogy, but just slightly altered around. So, like, the first one felt best match I've got for that one is The Search for Spock. Okay, that one's a bit forced, but the second one's a bit Rother Khan, a bit more kind of actiony, a bit more bold. And then the third one, as I say, it's Voyage Home. It's a nice little like let's have some whales, let's have some human moments. It's great. Let's have a underfunded hospital where Rios gets to do a really nice thing. He gets to you get to see him actually being the nice guy. You know he is, but I don't think they really showed enough of it in the first series. You get to see 7 of 9 having a bit of a laugh and having a smile with a kid. That was a really lovely moment.
I really enjoyed what we're going on with 7 this episode. You do get that moment at the beginning where she says, "You know, you a superhero," sort of thing, and she winks, and then there's a bit later on.
Keep my secret.
Where she says to Raffi, she's like, "Oh, people seem to like me here, and people don't usually like me," you know. And I thought that was really good.
Yeah, and the idea that because she's not got the implants, like humanity's come to the front, like because it's already there in this timeline, but it's new to her. She's just realizing she's got that there.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Oh, I don't know. Are we going to do something maybe where 7 wants to stay? She's like, you know, if I stay here, I'll remain human. And because we haven't established exactly how the time travel's going to work.
I don't know if it's going to be exactly like that, but I think it's going to be that's going to be the sacrifice. So we're going to regain everything if we do this. But 7, you're going to have to give that up. And she's going to have that moment, like, again, like in the movies, like in Insurrection, where Geordie goes, "Well, I don't think I could look another sunshine knowing what it costs these people."
Yeah, maybe.
She won't be able to do it knowing what it would cost the whole universe. But that'll add such weight. I'm all for that. I think that'll work, even though we can sort of see it coming, not in a bad way. That's fine. You know, it's a nice draw to why it matters.
It's a good act to go on with 7 that fits in with everything we did with back in Voyager. You know, it's a very appropriate story to tell. So if that is where they go, I mean, with how like surprising in a good way.
I'll be honest, I don't know where this is going at the moment this season.
Neither do I. And that's great.
I've got theories.
No, yeah.
But
it's
all
I'd agree.
I
don't know where it's going, but it feels a lot less sporadic and like you feel like they know where it's going, which I didn't always feel in season 1.
Yeah, it feels like it's got a definite direction. They know where they're going, how to get there.
Yeah, and every move seems purposeful. Again, I don't think it was a coincidence. It was like characterful episode because next episode. Now we've established this time zone. It's like every episode's established a different time or reality.
Like each one's almost been its own genre, its own setup. Whereas, as I say, the thing with this one is it feels like part one of something, whereas the other two, one more self-contained. And I think to an extent, this episode just feels less satisfying. But then it's probably again because we were coming off the high of the previous two that.
It's like I say, I think this is still a really, really good episode. And I think it's just when you look at the first two, is where it falls below that. But
I think
it's that sort of awkward in them.
Well, I think what they're doing with Discovery, again, this is perhaps a misstep that Discovery does. It's not good at doing these episodes where the stakes are a bit lower, but you just enjoy the journey. Like this episode, the stakes were fairly low. Okay, he might get caught here. They've got to avoid getting arrested by the police.
The first 10 minutes,
very human stakes.
Pretty high.
But it's very human. Oh, yeah, okay, you get that at the beginning. But then for the most of the episode, it's very human stakes as opposed to the world ending, which Discovery always seems to want the world to be ending, Federation to be ending. Like, again, the Federation ending one last series was very good. But you know what I mean? They're always so high stakes. It's nice to have just a downbeat episode where it's like, yeah, well, he doesn't want to see people die, so he's going to pretend to be a doctor, and then he gets arrested. It screws up the mission, but the direct stakes are just very human.
Well, that always has to happen in Star Trek when you go back to the past. Somebody has to get like he's Chekhov now. Yeah, he's Chekhov. So absolutely, you've got to do it. But
Rios is the illegal immigrant. Chekhov was the illegal Russian at the time in the 80s.
It's kind of Chekhov crossed with Bones because, like, they were talking about butterfly. So I reckon what he's doing there is going to alter the future somehow.
Yeah,
and like she's really important because she was that doctor who saved people's lives, and one of the people she saved ended up going on to,
Yes, that could be interesting. Because she's obviously going to play a bigger part. The way she was positioned, we gave her a lot of.
Who says she didn't?
Could be Edith Keller from Sitting on the Edge of Tomorrow.
Who says she didn't invent the bio bed?
Yeah.
Made with air transparent aluminum.
We gave that character a lot of nuance for someone who was going to be a bit part appearance. So I think we're going to get more.
I think she's the what's her name from the Voyage Home?
Rain. Oh, sorry.
I was thinking that Kirk brings home with him.
Yeah, Gillian.
Yeah. I was also thinking, in every, I was thinking actually when you said Voyage, I thought you were going to say Voyager. I was thinking of Sarah Silverman playing Rain in that episode. Yeah, there's always a human from this time who helps them on their way, which is really nice. Yeah,
and that does seem to be who this is going to be.
Great.
So just while we're on the subject, obviously it's the one where they actually do time travel. So appropriate that this episode's directed by Leah Thompson. Who obviously was very involved in Back to the Future, so that's pretty cool. Just before we jump into the actual going back in time, then, so as you said, Elliot, the opening picks up right where we left off. There's loads of action. Everybody gets killed, basically. But as we established last week, the fascists don't have souls, so that's fine. We can kill them.
You can kill fascists.
And we're not bothered. Hopefully this timeline's going to be erased anyway.
Well, we hope so, because the timeline needs to be. I'm with Rafi on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does, because that's the thing, isn't it? It's when they get back, and you do get this nice dilemma where we need power for Elnor's biobed, but we can't kill the Borg Queen, and so you indirectly do get this thing, and Raffi raises it that effectively we've chosen the Borg Queen over Elnor, and it wasn't done specifically in those terms. That's not the decisions that the characters made didn't feel like it was one or the other, but ultimately the decisions they made have led to that. I really hope this isn't the end of Elnor.
No,
I'd be very surprised if it was, and I'd be very annoyed with them.
If it's a death which is going to then get reclaimed later, that's fine. If it's a death, that was very Skin of Evil to kill him in such a way. It seems not to do that character justice.
Because, like, you know, they raise the idea of, oh, well, if we fix it, will this never have happened? And yeah, usually that sort of works, doesn't it? Because if they fix
sort
it,
of doesn't, it doesn't.
Also,
it's a funny one.
Happen, so he wouldn't have got killed. So, but then they wouldn't have been there to fix it. So,
also, you get another episode title which Q can throw out there. It's like, oh, his death. It was rather Skin of Evil, wasn't it?
yeah, Q can do that. And he probably would. I'm just saying, it's the sort of thing Mariner would say in Lower Decks as well, isn't it?
Yeah. That again, that's another show where you can get that character doing.
Yeah,
that's
she's
fine,
probably got a list of like Starfleet personnel who died in lame ways, and it's like Tasha Yar, Jadzia Dax, Elnor now. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully it's not the end of Elnor. I don't know how the timey-wimey stuff's going to be explained, because I'm still not.
Right.
I'm still not convinced that Q has changed the timeline.
I'm not convinced that we're going to play out most of the season in the 21st century.
I'm not. I think we're going to spend some time there, but not necessarily the whole season.
Yeah, I think maybe up to halfway, but maybe 2-3 episodes of it.
The rate it's been moving in terms of, you know, complete contrast to what we were talking about with Discovery, but the story momentum in Picard so far. It wouldn't surprise me if we don't spend.
Yeah, I think we might get some more time jumps, and I think that's where Elnor will come back, and I think we might get Soji back into it through that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a dynamite pace, and or maybe they weren't available for some reason, maybe due to the pandemic or whatever else.
Filmed in COVID times, so
So it might be like they bookend it at the beginning and end. We don't know, but again, I'm glad we don't know. It seems for a really exciting journey. There's so much to give us enough to speculate on, and you can definitely see they know there's such intent and purpose.
It feels like this season, last season felt a bit disjointed in places. Like they didn't really know. Well, we've said, haven't we, that it was almost like he had one thing he wanted to do, which was the Data in Picard story at the end. And then everything else was sort of thrown in.
Everything else was just thrown in. Like, we'll have a Romulan conspiracy. We'll have these aliens that want to destroy synthetics. We'll have the Borg in it, which the Borg...
Riker making some pizza.
Yeah, which again was great. That was...
I mean, I loved it, but it just didn't seem to fit at all. It was just
but
this season feels like it's got a...
It does.
Like the way that the episodes have ended into the next one.
Yeah.
And then started again immediately where it's left off. It just makes you feel like, this is a 10-hour movie.
Well,
and they know what they're doing.
Yeah, like the Borg Queen, like when they announced the Borg Queen was going to be in it, I was really skeptical about it, because I was like, oh, they're just throwing the Borg in for the sake of it again, like they did in season 1. And the answer seems so far to be an emphatic no on that.
No, the Borg Queen is being put in this in a great way.
Yeah, exactly.
And when she goes into the mind of, what's the woman's name? Jurati. When she goes into Jurati's mind, and she tricks her, and I love it. It's like, you've done something very dangerous. You've impressed me.
Yeah,
that's so good. Where she tricks her.
I love that when you get in Jurati's sort of subconscious, where she says like, "Oh, I'd stick it to you a little bit because secretly I want you to be my dad," and you just think, we all want Captain Picard to be our dad.
I don't. Actually, this is one where I have to think Admiral Silver Daddy Bear from Discovery. Discovery wins over me on that front.
Fair enough.
But I want to be a favourite uncle or maybe granddad. I don't know.
But speaking of sticking it to Picard, Raffi has a great scene where she just calls him on the whole thing with Q. She's like, you've pratted about with Q for decades, and it's all fun and games for you, but this is
and you play with people's lives.
And Picard's like, no, he does, and it's like, no, you do a little.
It brings forward that whole idea of with Batman. If he just killed the Joker, how many lives would he have saved? He's on his moral soapbox that he doesn't kill him, but I think it's because he's psychologically
Mhm.
he's owned by the Joker in a way. Same thing with Q and Picard.
Yeah,
He can justify that he doesn't, that he plays these games to keep the morals of Starfleet and everything.
Batman 89 does that Batman Joker thing the best, where the Joker tells him, he goes, "You made me,"
yeah,
and Batman tells him, "You made me first."
Yeah, they've even done it in they in oh god, it was a parallel I think I made the other week when they did Dick Grayson as Batman for a while. They met him against the Joker, and they kind of highlighted the fact that he isn't his foil. Like, he'll quite happily kill the Joker because he isn't in the same way invested. With Cisco, the reason why it didn't work was because he just punched him. It's like, oh, you're too easy broke, I'm not interested anymore. That was my take on that always. But Picard is so kind of like he will fall for Q's.
He will,
trick.
and
Even though he'll outwit him, he will always get sucked into it.
And I think that Raffi touches a nerve here, because despite his protestations, Picard does enjoy it with Q. He enjoys the banter. He enjoys taking the moral superiority, and he enjoys getting one over on this being that is so much more powerful. And he relishes it.
And there's even moments where you see he knows Q's right, like in All Good Things, like when he talks about, well, you weren't looking far enough for the kind of realms of extreme possibility in your mind, like the expansion of your mind. That's where you should be going. When he kind of like shows him up with love with in Nottingham Forest, with Robin Hood. I think there are moments where actually Q makes a good point against him as well, but at the expense of having the Borg. That's.
I love the fact that Raffi has, and they've done this effectively enough in the short time we've known Raffi, for her to be a character that can believably call out Picard. And there's not many characters who can do that. In all the time we've known Picard, there's maybe Beverly and Guinan, and the what was her name in First Contact? She does
Alfie Woodward.
I can't remember her name,
and Lily.
Yes, thank you. So to have the fact that we can believe this from Raffi, that she knows him well enough to call him out on it, I think's great.
Yeah, it feels more satisfying. The first series, I never felt that from her. They didn't textualize it. They didn't justify. Like, they just said, oh, yeah, they've been working together for years. And then you showed a few flashbacks, but I don't think they ended. This really shows that relationship.
It does. You feel that connection between the characters now. And then we get to the fun stuff. So we've got Jurati explains, I might not be able to beam you exactly where we want to go. Raffi, fine. Seven, fine, but there's a little girl who now thinks she's a superhero. Rios.
I think Seven's a superhero.
Well, it depends on what your definition is. I mean, to all intents and purposes, she very much is, isn't she?
She doesn't like the spandex.
Yeah, she's got implants to,
I thought they were natural. Oh, sorry, you meant no.
I knew. I realised. And Rios gets the wrong the bad end of the deal, really.
Now, this has been something that should have happened years ago in Star Trek, where a faulty transporter, it beams him in the wrong place.
Yeah, on the wrong part of the horizontal axis. Yeah,
vertical axis.
Sorry.
Yeah, it gets X and Y right, but gets a Z wrong.
There's even an episode of Sliders where they mention it. It's like, what happens if this slides us into a brick wall? It's like, oh, well, that can happen. However, it could just slide your molecules so that you get dispersed. Like, they make a joke of it. And so it's really nice to have just the transporter messing up and just dumped in midair.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. It looks painful as well.
Yeah.
I love how Raffi just dispatches with the mugger.
Give me your wallet, eh? Oh, cash. No, let me. Oh, can't be asked with this. Bang.
When he pops up with the gun, I did feel a sense of danger, because it's like, Starfleet aren't used to dealing with guns, and she's not got any weapons on it. But no, she just takes him out. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah, like how Seven comes up just as she's taking him out. Oh, see, you're making friends already.
Yeah, the Seven and Raffi stuff. I mean, you get the sense that they're not talking about their relationship, which they're going to need to do at some point. But they do seem to be having a good time in this one.
Yeah, but you see, this is the thing. I feel like Discovery, they would have had to just gone for the relationship first. Whereas, give them just a moment. Let's just see them interacting. Let's just see that kind of like relationship.
You have the scene where Raffi goes, "No, I don't want to talk about my emotions, how I feel of just seeing Eleanor die.
Yeah.
I just want to get on with things."
And you know, later it's going to explode.
In Discovery, they'd have stopped for 10 minutes while she burst out crying about it.
Yeah, whereas real emotions, like sorry, I don't mean.
And this is realistic.
This
is more realistic.
Like we've all dealt with grief here, like and it doesn't just happen like that. It doesn't just like happen in that one moment.
But this is more realistic. What Raffi does here.
Yeah, it is. And it because we know that Raffi and Seven are not necessarily on the same page relationship wise from what Raffi said to Picard, but Seven does the right thing in this one, that she's like, right, you need time to process it. You don't want to talk about it. I'm not going to push you on it. So
yeah,
I think there's definitely strengths to the relationship. And there's a bit where in the opening bit, Seven's husband from the other timeline hits her and Raffi's like, don't you dare touch her. So she's obviously very protective. And then you get this bit where they're trying to blag the way into this building. And, this is one of your classic comedy, like you say, voyage home moments where Seven doesn't know the word for picture. So she's coming out with all these.
One of your cinematographic images.
Or photos. Some of us just call them photos.
And so that's all really good. And meanwhile, we've got.
You don't want to be more. Are you going to be more fun than Kevin?
That was great.
Don't let Kevin be more fun than you.
Hey, and just by the way, I'm much more fun than Kevin. Yeah, that was great.
And that line, it plays it like it's going to be a big dramatic beat, like the music and everything raises the tension. Then he's like, you know what? It's brilliant, really, really good likeness and touch.
Yeah.
The more serious stuff then, I suppose, is Picard, Jurati, and the Borg Queen, and we don't get a huge amount more. Though she does mention the Watcher and mentions the number 15, which I'm not sure how that's going to be. I just wanted to flag it up here so that we've got it, that we've noticed it. So we'll look for clues as to what 15's all going to be about. And then, we've got the story of Rios and the Doctor and everything.
Oh, so good. Again, this is what I think. Sorry to be up on the first series so much, but this is what I feel like they failed to do in the first series. They just said, right, here are these characters, you care about them. It doesn't matter what they do, just know you care about them. Whereas this one gives you reasons why you care. Again, when Rios is being a bit careless and a bit silly. Yeah, exactly. When he's being a bit as I say, maybe I'm fairly calling him Pound Shop Han Solo. When he's being like that, we know why we care now, because he's a really good guy who would risk his own safety for some strangers he doesn't know, because he knows it's the right thing to do. They healed him. They're healing people who can't afford medicine.
Yeah.
They're the good people to get on board with. So again, when you give me a moment later when he's doing something else foolhardy, I've got a reason to care about him and reason to care why he's successful in this, and why, when he's making the wrong decisions, why he's not a bad guy. Yeah. Not just take a word for it. You like it.
No, it's all really, really good stuff. And they're introducing a lot of elements, like she's got a son and he's got a bit of back and forth with the kid and everything. And like you say, I think
the kid's found his badge.
Yeah, and he's tapping it and they're like, is this Morse code? No, it can't be. So again, all of that's very Chekhov losing his stuff and they have to go back for him. And they're not unaware that they're channeling all this stuff, because at the end of the day, the Voyage Home's one of the most beloved parts of Star Trek canon, even by casual viewers. So
that's the thing they say. That's the one which always liked best by non-Star Trek fans. Like,
that's the one that's the one Paramount said that they'd have made that story as a movie, even if it wasn't Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That have made it work as another different sci-fi.
Yeah,
And it's so accessible to anyone who isn't a Star Trek fan. For the rest of us, like, I love that movie, but obviously Khan's where it's at. Like, that's the big Star Trek moment. But I understand why that's not for anyone who isn't big into Star Trek necessarily. It doesn't have the same heft to it.
No, absolutely. And so, yeah, it's a good one to channel when you're doing good fun stuff.
If you're going to copy a movie or one of the movies, Discovery Season 4 went with the motionless picture. Not the best choice. Not the best choice. Picard is going with the Voyage Home. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
That's a fair point.
And it doesn't feel like they're stealing from it. They're using elements to service the story they're telling.
Yeah.
That does show the contrast between the approaches of the two writers' rooms that we've got. Discovery tried to take one of the lesser Star Trek films and do a better version. Probably succeeded, but not as much as they would have liked to. Whereas Picard seems to be taking one of the fun ones and going, you know what? Even if we don't make it as good as that, if we get anywhere near, it'll be fine. So
and let's use some of the fun elements from it. We don't have to copy the story, but let's have some fun elements.
And I don't think we even mentioned the slingshot, which I thought they really stayed true to the. It felt like the same kind of thing modernized. It wasn't doing the streaks of light, but it was slowing down time, and you saw things slightly.
When it did that bit of a flash, I thought, I thought for a minute that they were actually going to do the white.
Yeah, with the face.
It felt like it actually felt like, yes, they're going to do it.
Yeah,
I think that's my biggest disappointment this episode. That they didn't do the white sort of whatever the were, white sculptures. But it came very close. It was close to getting there.
You know what?
And of course, as you slow down time, as they go to the slingshot, it slows down time, then it starts reversing, and it's just all very nicely done.
It was really well done, but as Elliot says, they did stop short of doing that really trippy bit. But
I mean, I would like to have little bits of dialogue from the episode coming up like they did in the movie. That would have been really nice.
Like what's going to happen the rest of the season. That would have been really cool.
Just little teaser lines.
Another nice little callback, and it's really sort of blink and you'll miss it. When the police are arresting Rios at the end, they ask him for a UHC card, which is what they had in past tense in DS9.
Yeah.
Which is canonically taking place in the same year as this story. So what I really like is that the world we're being presented with here, even though it looks very much like our present,
there's a couple of years in the future.
Yeah, it doesn't contradict the fact that there could well be a sanctuary district just out of shot. You know, you can believe that because we've seen that slum that Raffi sees, and we've seen this medical center, and just to tie that in to past tense, I think it's really, really nice.
Well, it's like in Picard, you've got the comm badges from All Good Things, and just like they haven't gone full uniform because they did look like pajamas, but they've I think they've used those uniforms a little bit here and there, maybe somewhere in Picard, but they don't have it as the main uniform. It's all gravy. It's nice, just little nods. It's like going, okay. There are some things in those episodes which don't work perfectly. Now we're not going to do the whole thing, but we will give you enough to let you know it's in the same world. You know.
Yeah, well, the great thing about like future uniforms is you can always go, well, the very fact that we saw that future means that future doesn't happen, so the uniforms are different. You know, we can always. My view of it is, if you show something in the future, you never tied to that canon. You know that
because you can change it now.
Yeah, we can always change it. So yeah. So overall, really good fun. As I say, for me, it feels incomplete compared to the first two bits, but that is the nature of serialized TV. So it's not a problem in and of itself. Anything else you guys have got on this one?
I mean, only that I sort of loved there was just one cue moment just to go, by the way, he's still here. You know, I like that. And I didn't mind it. It fit okay. I don't think we needed it, but, you know.
John Delancey and his agent are happy that went in. That is an episode's work, is that? You're in episode...
Yeah.
He's in episode one for a couple of seconds. That's 1 week.
What's worrying me is that we've been told that John Delancey is in 6 episodes in total. Season 2 and 3. Well,
this is IMDb, and they are sometimes misleading. They said Chakotay was going to be in 10 episodes. I
Yeah.
promise.
And I'm thinking, well, he's already
long.
been in. John Delancey's already been in 3, and only one of them really is a big.
Yeah, he's only been in one episode properly.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that they mean that he's got to be in 6 episodes properly, and we'll get these little bits where we'll just
I
pop
hope
in.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, I'll just say that you're probably right that, the other one's a lot more actiony, a lot more satisfying that way. But this was just such a nice downbeat episode. Again, I just like little human moments. I like a low stakes episode where you can just enjoy the characters.
Yeah.
And I want a couple of these this series would be nice. Pep it out. You don't want it to be back to back too much, but just really nice. You don't have to have the world ending every episode.
Yeah,
it's not the Avengers every time.
It's like, realistically, if this season carries on with its pace, next episode this week, we should find the Watcher, find out what caused the change, find out how to stop the change.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they do as well.
5th episode, near the beginning, we stop the change and then it jumps somewhere else and we get Elnor back and Soji comes into it. And
oh no, I'd say if you're going to go that quick, like the 5th episode, you have them enacting the thing which makes the change, and then that'd be the whole episode is like a bit of an adventure, maybe a bit of Ocean's 12, whatever number it was,
whatever it is,
like a bit of an actiony one where they do that. That would be really satisfying. Again, they just seem to have it in the bag with this.
Yeah.
And I keep on feeling the hand.
I want them to move on from the 21st century because I want Elnor back and I want to see Soji back in it. And I can't see how that's going to happen in the 21st century.
I still think Soji is going to be whoever Adam Soom's daughter, the actress. So I don't think we're going to get Soji. I think we're going to get Issa Briones.
You mean to play a 3rd character?
1, 2, 3, 4. 4?
Oh.
Well, more.
Wasn't there a few?
About 20 different androids.
I was going to say on the planet.
Yeah.
Season 1. But there was Daj, Soji, Evil Gold Soji, and then other Sojis. So, anyway. But my suspicion is that's how the actress will be brought back in.
Right.
Will remain.
But we need to get Elnor back.
Yes, we do.
We do, but I don't know if it's going to be this series. I think
we need to get him back because his name in Elvish is Star Trek.
I think we're going to get him near the end of the series, maybe the last few episodes. It's my prediction.
Like if you look at the Elvish from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, what is it? L is star.
I can salute. Yeah.
And Nor is
Trek.
It's like Trek or Voyage or it's
Voyage,
like the words sort of go together and it's Star Trek.
That's
lovely.
That's brilliant.
It's a real clever play that they've done, and it is a Elvish name he has from Lord of the Rings. It has been done deliberately.
Not fooling anyone with the inspiration there.
And also, might I just? Are we going to do the which one did we like better?
Yeah, we're going to do that.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to preempt.
No, let's go. So, our exciting new feature, which one did we like better? Dodds Squee. I think I know what you're going to say.
Picard!
Hell yeah.
Picard.
I'm going to be the voice of dissent then. I am going to go Discovery this week. Just because I felt like they landed what they were trying to do in the finale, and I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. But that in no way detracts from Picard, which was excellent this week. So it was a good week of Star Trek. And that's the end of that game until we have the finale of Picard and the premiere of Strange New Worlds, which
I think will be impossible to call.
That should be the best week of Star
That should be the impossible to call one.
Yeah, it should be.
I mean, hopefully, again, we don't know what Strange New World's going to be like in practice, but Picard this series is crushing it. I keep on feeling actually the hand in it. I think I've mentioned this before of Mark Bernardin, who does Fatman on Batman with Kevin Smith, and he's really good at breaking down stories. It feels like how he breaks down stories is how this series of Picard's going.
Yeah.
So even though he was involved earlier on and then he had to leave for another project, so he left kind of halfway through. And he was saying, it's like, oh, I'll watch and I'll see what I made up survived, and what I worked on. It feels like a lot of what he would have worked on has survived. This seems like his way of breaking down the story, and if so, thank you, sir.
The structure, it's been brilliant so far.
He's a big structure guy, and he's always about like, well, why do we care about this? Why are we doing this? Why is that important to that? And that's it feels like that's in there.
Yeah, you're getting we've got to get payoffs all the way through in Picard, I feel.
Yeah.
So next week
I have a theory now though that from Stargazer the Borg Queen is going to be Jurati.
Yeah. I've heard that one. It'd be interesting, yeah.
I've got one.
Based on what the Borg Queen said.
Oh, the Borg Queen.
It's got the mask on. You've got the dead Elnor. Like maybe they revive him with Borg parts.
Ooh.
That's a way of including him. Yeah. That's a way where you wouldn't have seen the face.
Very good. Yeah. So either Elnor or I'll just pick someone to randomly say it is then. No, I'll have to think about it. I get an extra week because I didn't know we were playing this game.
I'd like to see at the end of the season, because 7 of 9 seems like she's quite enjoying people not being scared of her. And she's noticing what she looks like without her implants. That it gets to the end of the season. And like when they're doing the epilogue of how it all wraps up, she goes to the doctor and has her implants removed at last.
Yeah, that'd work.
And we get Robert Picard on his cameo.
I've got who the Borg Queen is. The mask rolls up, and just to double down on what they've done with annoying the people with the cameo in Discovery, it's Barack Obama.
No. I would just really love the idea that, because we're saying we want Elnor in it more, but I want a little bit more time in the past. I think that's very satisfying.
Oh yeah,
what if they bring him back with nanobots originally with the intent of in a good way, and then it starts changing him in the reverse of how it's changing Seven to be
it's like Spock's brain, but with Elnor.
Sure, I'm not sure.
We've got a little.
That's not where I was going with it, but yeah, let's go for that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Yes, so that'll do us for this week. Next week, we're just down to one episode of just Picard, but if it keeps this quality up, I'm more than happy with that.
I'm happy with one episode of quality.
You can get in touch with us at RetrekPod on Twitter. You can email us retrekpod@gmail.com, or you can come and join us on Facebook. Dr. Squee, where can they find you and the Dr. Squee Show?
If you go to SW20 every Tuesday, apart from tomorrow, because taking a week off to welcome my mum home from hospital where she's had an ankle op. But she's had Borg implants to repair her lack of bones in her ankle, which have just crumbled from age. So I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, add Dr. Squee on social media. Just look it up, the Dr. Squee Show. Yeah, it's all good.
Awesome. So thanks for trekking with us this time, and we'll see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Bye-bye.